All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start on the next chapter uh, lecture here. And the chapter that we're going to be working on is going to be chapter 13. And if you go ahead and open up the slides from chapter 13, it says chapter 13, PowerPoint part 1. There is only one part to chapter 13, so that's the entire slides. And it's only 5 slides long, so it's a very short chapter, but it's full of information. So what I want to do is I want to start with slide 3. Okay, I will go back to slide 1 in a minute, but I want to start with slide 3. I'd like to start off with the easier of the two situations that we're going to be talking about in chapter 13. So if you skip the slide 3 for me, and we're going to start there. So slide 3 starts talking about stock splits. Now, there's some key information I want you guys to know about stock splits. Now, 2 things happen when a stock splits. And take note of this on a separate sheet of paper or on a note sheet that hopefully you've got running with things that I've been talking to you about. So during a stock split, main things that happen, I'm going to break this slide down nice and easy for you. The par value goes down and the number of shares outstanding goes up. Now, to give you an illustration of what a stock split is, I'm going to use a $100 bill, okay? If you were to go into a bank with a $100 bill and you said, "Can I have change?" Okay? And they say to you, "Well, how do you want it?" And you say, "I will take 2 $50 bills." That is a 2-for-1 stock split, okay? You just split your $100 bill into 2 $50 bills. Now, the key here, when it comes to a stock split, the amount of money does not change, okay? Whether I give you a $100 bill or 2 $50 bills, they still equal $100, okay? Do you understand that concept? No matter what, after a stock split, the value does not change. The actual monetary value of the stock does not change. The only items that change during a stock split is your par value, which goes down, and the number of shares go up. So, in other words, that $100 bill had a par value of 100, and you only had one bill. Now, if you split it 2-for-1, the bill value goes down because it goes down to 50s. But now instead of having just one bill, you now have 2 bills. If I said to you that you were going to split the $100 bill 5-to-1, how many and what type of bills would you end up with? Well, you'd have 5 $20 bills. 5 times 20 is 100. So that's a 5-to-1 stock split, okay? If it's a $100 bill. If I said you're going to split the $100 bills 10-to-1, that means you're going to have 10 $10 bills, and that still equals $100. Notice that the amount of money that you have doesn't change, just the amount of paper and value. And that's in essence what a stock split is. Okay, a stock split does not change the monetary total. It only changes the par value and the number of shares outstanding. Okay, so now let's take a look at slide 3. A stock split is a distribution of additional shares. If you're splitting it, that means there's going to be more shares. I did tell you 2 things that happen during a stock split is outstanding stock goes up, par value goes down. So a stock split is a distribution of additional shares for the purpose of affecting a decline in the market price. Okay, so the market price was 100. It splits 2-for-1. The market price now becomes 50, but you now have 2 shares. Okay. In recent weeks, in early October, there was two huge companies that did stock splits. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but pause the video and see if you can research quickly what two companies did major public stock splits. Okay? And I'm gonna give you a little maybe extra credit for answering that. I'll set it up as a quiz. So now that we know what's happening here, again, the first thing there, it says par value decreases. Number 2 there, it says number of shares issued and number of shares outstanding are going to go up. The nice thing about a stock split is there is no journal entries, none. You do not have to do a journal entry when you're doing this, okay? So really, all you're going to have to do is rewrite a paragraph when it comes to this, okay? So what I mean by that is I want you to, man, my slides are out of order for chapter 13. Go down to slide number 5 for a second. And what I want to point out to you is the two blue boxes at the bottom, okay? The first box says before the stock split. The second box says after the stock split, okay? In the narrative of the question at the top, at the very right-hand side, first sentence, it says that this company declared a 3-to-1 stock split, okay? So now disregard the top stuff for right now. Go to the top box where it says before the stock split. Take a look under contributed capital, and what's the par value of that stock there? It says $12. So you're going to split $12 three ways. So if you take 12 and divide by 3, you would get 4. Take a look at what the par value is stated in the after stock split box. And you'll see that you have a par value of 4. So that was rule number 1. Par value goes down. The other rule said that common stock is going to go which way? It's going to go up. So take a look at the before the stock split. How many shares were issued and outstanding before? And you should see 800,000 shares was issued and outstanding. We know shares go up. How many shares are we giving for each old share? We're giving 3. So you take the 800,000 times 3, and if you do that, you should come up with a new number for outstanding shares, which should be 2,400,000. And if you look at the box below, which is the after stock split, you'll see on that line that the 2.4 million shares is listed there. So the only two numbers so far that have changed is the par value and the number of shares issued and outstanding. Take a look at both boxes at the same time right now. And take a look at the numbers all the way to the right-hand column, the total numbers. Did any of those numbers change? You got 9.6, 16, 25.6, 32, and then 57,600,000. Those numbers didn't change. And that is in essence what a stock split is, okay? The number of shares that are there go up, the par value goes down, but the value does not change. It's still worth the same amount, okay? Now, for your exam question, when it comes time to do the exam on this chapter, you're going to be given that paragraph at the very top that you see there. On January 15th, blah, 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 blah. You are going to be required to prepare the bottom box, the after stock split section. And it should look exactly like what you see down there at the bottom. Okay? I'm not going to take it as a paragraph like it is. The reason we're giving you the paragraph is we want you guys to be able to read something and put it into financial form. And that's in essence what you're doing here. Okay? You're taking a paragraph and submitting it and making it into a financial form. So let's start by looking at you could look at the before to follow along here. We have our company name. We're working on the stockholder equity section and the date. Notice the date is in the paragraph, same date that's in the box. The next line says contributed capital. Right below contributed capital is the first thing that we do. We're talking about common stock. Now, according to the narrative of the question, it says, and I'm going to read it aloud for you. On January 15th, 2010, the BOD, Board of Directors of Tower International, declared a 3-for-1 stock split of its $12 par value common stock, of which 3.2 million shares were authorized, 800,000 shares were issued and outstanding. So take a look at the very first two lines under contributed capital under before the stock split. Notice how everything that I read is just listed there. It's listed. It's recopying it. Okay? Now, the hardest part is how do we get that $9.6 million value? And that's pretty easy. You take the number of shares, in this case 800,000, and multiply by the par value, which is $12. And if you went ahead and you did that in your calculator, which I hope you did so that you see it, and as you do it, the easier it is to memorize things. All right. The $12 per share times 800,000 shares came out to the $9.6 million share total there. Okay. That's how we got that. The market value on the date was $45 per share. On the same day, the balance of additional paid-in capital was $16 million, and the balance of retained earnings was $32 million. So let's go to the third line in our box. It says additional paid-in capital. Well, all you have to do is write APIC, and it gave you the $16,000. It gave you the $16,000 in the question title. So it's not like you have to go and try to figure that out. It's given to you. The next line says total. Whenever you see the word total, that means you have to do what? Add things together. So if you add the 9.6 million and the 16 million, hence the way we got our 25,600,000. That's where that number came from, adding the two numbers above it. The next line says retained earnings, and that value is 32 million. That value was given to you in the question, so all you're doing is rewriting retained earnings, $32 million. Not a difficult concept, okay? Last line says total stockholders' equity. Well, total means to add things together. So if you take the 25,600,000 and add 32 million, that's how it comes up to the 57,600,000 total that you see at the very bottom where it says total stockholders equity. Okay? It's simple. It's not difficult. There are no journal entries for this. Okay? Now that you've gotten your paragraph written before the split, now you've got to write the after split. The after the stock split is what I am looking for in your questions. Okay? So keep that in mind. The after stock split is what I'm looking for. And you will have to change a couple numbers, but it's easy. Okay? So take a look at the after stock split. You still have the same heading. The first thing that changes under common stock or contributed capital, it says common stock, $4 par. Remember how we got $4? We took the $12 original and we divided by the 3-to-1. We divided 12 by 3, which gave us $4 per share. So that is our price per share is $4. They can go from there. Okay. The next part, we know that that's our power value going down. Now we need to worry about our number of shares that are going up. So the number of shares that were issued and outstanding before is 800,000. And if you multiply that by 3, that gives you your 2.4 million shares. Now, one thing I want to point out to you, okay, is please, 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 please. I understand that you don't have journal entries to do with this question. I understand. But please, if you don't understand the concepts, ask questions. Now, I'm going to change the number up there in this question, and it's just going to be for the video, so don't go getting crazy. Let's say this company decided a 4-to-1 stock split instead of 3-to-1. Same scenario applies. You just have to change the decimal. So in this case, decimal. What am I talking about? Decimal. In this case, if we change the 3 to a 4, we're going to split it 4-to-1. So 12 divided by 4 gave us 3 as our new par value. And then we do the same thing with the shares that are issued and outstanding, except instead of dividing, in this case, we are actually going to multiply them. Excuse me, you're still dividing. Yeah, multiplying them. Because you're going to take the 800,000 times 4. And that's going to give you 3.2 million shares outstanding. Now, one fact I want you to pay attention to is, remember, a company cannot issue more shares than they have issued, is the word I'm looking for, or not issued, is authorized. So if you're only allowed to sell 3.2 million shares, you cannot do a stock split if that's going to put you over the number of shares that you can sell. Okay? It's a harder concept to learn, but just replay that in your heads and see if that makes sense. So really, when it comes to chapter 13, the first part is I really want you guys to be able to handle a paintbrush, so to speak, and be able to understand the two topics that are in play here. Par value goes down, number of shares go up. All right? You are going to have to take the paragraph that you see in front of you. That will be slightly different, but concepts will be exactly the same. So you got to be able to take that paragraph and put it into financial form, which is the after stock split. I don't need the pre-stock split box because that's all in the narrative. But I do want to see the after stock split on your exam. All right, so I'm going to sign off the video here. This way I can break chapter 13 into 2 pieces and not overwhelm you guys all that much. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video for stock split, and we will be back to you in a